How's that? Is that good? Okay. So let's do our prayers and then we can get into. Um, all right. Sit comfortably with your neck and spine erect. You can sit in any comfortable position, cross legged or Padmasan or Siddhasan, Sukhasan, Swastikasan, whatever keeps your neck and spine erect. And roll your shoulders back and lift your sternum up to get that last bit of curve into your back. And then close your eyes and look inwards, listen inwards. And observe that the body is breathing. Observe. Breathing is one thing that we can observe. It is happening on its own accord. Most of the other parasympathetic systems and activities, you cannot feel them typically. But breathing is the nearest and the closest, which can be manipulated and left alone at the same time. And yogis have harnessed this potentiality of yoga. And everything then builds upon this understanding of breathing. That's why breathing becomes an integral part. So observe that the body is breathing on its own. Bring your attention to the thighs and they will relax. Bring your attention to the pelvis area and it will relax on its own. Nothing to be done, just give attention. Attention is nothing but dhyaan. And today's session being focused on dhyana. Dhyana is nothing but a channelized energy. And we're just channelizing the energy in the pelvis area by giving attention to it. And this energy can be healing, it can be whatever you want to name it. Move your attention to the torso upwards, to the chest, to the shoulders. Come down to the fingertips, to the center of your palm. And move up to the forearm, to the upper arm, biceps, triceps. Come back to the shoulder. And then take a bucket full of this energy of attention and pour it over your head. Pour it up there at the crown of the head and let it flow in all 360 degrees. And observe where all it goes, to the back of the neck, to the forehead, to your ears, back of the ears, the cheeks, nose, upper lip, lower lip, chin. Just keep shifting your attention to these areas and they will all relax. To the eyelids, the eyeballs, eardrums. And last but not the least, let the tongue settle in the mouth, in your lower jaw. And make sure your lips are very gently touching each other. With that, bring your hands to the heart center in Anjali Mudra. And the moment you do that, you will start feeling the heartbeats against your wrist. The second thing that is on its own accord, yogis have known to be able to control the heart rate through the yogic practices. Take a deep breath. Sarvepi sukhina santu, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kashid dukhamapnuyat. Om sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karvavahai, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Rub your palms and gently cup your eyes and put back this wonderful energy back into your system. And here we go. All right, so we're going to talk about a little bit of the cleansing techniques. We always talk about the pranayama as a breathing technique, a cleansing technique of the nadis. We have over 72,000 energy channels, as we know. But besides those subtle energy channels, we have to also deal with this physical body. And how does one cleanse that? How does one deal with the physical body, which is integral part of our life today, right? So there are a few things that are mentioned in Hatha Yoga Pratipika. There are a few things, in the Ashtanga Yoga. Patanjali talks about how to keep the mind and the body clean so that it doesn't become an hindrance, it doesn't become an obstacle in the progression of the spirituality, which is what we are actually practicing this yoga for, right? So there are a few things we need to, which I do. I have been doing this for over 20, 25 years now, is netrasnan. What is netrasnan? We got to take care of the eyes that actually keep us active in this world. In the morning, what you do is when you brush your teeth, and people have the habit of washing their face. I've seen my dad do that. I never asked him what he was doing, but it is all coming from the sanskaras in the tradition, in the culture of yoga. And how do you do netra snan? Okay, so what is netra? Netra is eyes. Snan means you give bath to the eyes so that the eyes become clear. They are ready to see out there. And what you do is you bend forward a little bit on wherever you are. You might be in the shower, or you take, you can use a cup or you can use your hands, and you take that cold water, not warm water, cold water, and you take it in your mouth and you completely fill your buccal cavity with the water. And again, this is a cleansing technique. It's part of the yama niyama, which are the two first aspects of the Ashtanga Yoga. And the yama niyama constitutes of the do's and the don'ts. Okay, so the morality is part of this, the how you act in this world, how you present yourself in this world. And then part of that is also Shaucha. Shaucha means cleansing of the mind and the body. That's part of the Shaucha. So, of course, there is Ishwar Pranidhan and all of that. That is part of cleansing the mind, but we're talking about the body today. And so we begin with the eyes, which are the tenderest part of the skin. So if you look at it, we have these 5 sense organs, and one of the biggest organs is the skin. Okay, so skin becomes the largest sense organ, which is reacting and acting out there with the immediate environment to you. And eyes are nothing but a modified skin. It is the finest form of skin. And we have to keep that clean. So you take the water and you drink it, but you don't gulp it down. You put it in your mouth until you cannot take on anymore. And what's going to happen is your mouth is going to bulge up completely. And when you bulge up and you hold that cold water inside, you bend down and take water in your hand and your eyes are open. You can look, if you're bending down, you can look ahead. And so that the eyes are not, because you have the reactionary way of, shutting the eyes. You take this water and you basically bathe the eyes, but make sure you don't blink. That is the hardest part in this exercise. And your reactionary way, because there is a coping mechanism in the system that is the body is sensitive and it will immediately react to your water coming at it. But initially your eyes will close. That's okay. Eventually you keep reminding to keep your eyes open, and you can keep your eyes open. And with this cold water, you do this 5 times, 3 to 5 times, and then you spit out all that water that is in the mouth. Now, what is that water doing? It does a couple of things. One, at the subtle level, at the Ayurveda talks about, is the heaty part of the body. Now, is that really heaty? Like mango is supposed to be a heaty food. Is that really hot? No, it's not that hot that you actually feel, but that is latent heat in it that actually goes in your body and disrupts your Vata Pitta Kapha balance, right? Those heaty and cooling foods need to be balanced in your diet. So one of the things that they talk about is by holding the water here, it also opens up your eyes. It opens up these areas so that when the water is hitting it, it actually takes away that latent heat out, so that when you spit out that water, of course, it is going to be warm because you're holding it in the mouth for some time. But the yogic system says that's the latent heat coming out of your cranial area, from your eyes and everything. So to cool down, especially now that the summer is going to start, this exercise really helps to keep your entire cranial area, and your eyes kind of cool. So that is the first exercise that you form it a habit. When you brush your teeth, you're going to wash your face anyway, might as well do this. Okay, so you add this to your daily exercise. You take the water, again, I'll repeat, drink the water, hold it in your cavity, don't drink it, look down and look up like this, so the eyes are not looking at what you're doing, and then you splash cold water on your eyes few times and then spit it out. So repeat this exercise 3 to 5 times and you will feel good. Throughout the day, your eyes will be like a renewed sense of vision. Believe me, trust me, it will happen. Initially, you may not feel it, but as things change, you will start. Okay, the second one is the nose. Okay, so the why nose? Because nose has, if you've seen the animals, some of these animals are operating through their sense of smell. Most of the dogs, they can't see far, but they have a very high sense, hearing and smell. You see a dog that smells everywhere, right? The nose has tremendous amount of capillaries, blood capillaries over there, and the nerves endings over there. So that's why nose becomes another important thing that you have to take care of. So what I do is I use neti pot, and I buy this neti pot. I bought this in Singapore when I was part of the Nikam Yoga system. And but if you go to India, you'll be able to get it. But if you go to CVS pharmacy here, you should be able to find the simple neti pot made by Neil Med. Neil Shah is a guy who is a doctor who started that thing here. But in India, we've been practicing this for hundreds of years. There were different kinds of neti pots back then. They were made out of metal, but now they make it out of plastic. So here's what you do with this. There are a few types of netis. All I'm going to talk about is water neti today. Okay, there are There is oil neti, there is milk neti, there is honey neti, there's all kinds of netis. But water becomes important. So what you do is you make lukewarm water so that you put your pinky in it, it should not burn. You should feel it's normal. Okay, it should lukewarm water. Add a pinch of salt to it and make sure that salt is properly dissolved, or you dissolve the water and the salt beforehand when you warm it. Put it in here. And why I'm showing you this, because I want you to buy this. Next time, we will actually do the demonstration of this. So you go to CVS or Walgreens or Walmart, wherever, get a neti pot, and then we can practice this. So what you're doing here, you take this and you put it on the nostril, because this is designed to fit your nostril exactly so that no air comes out from or goes in except for water. And then you tilt your head like this and lift your elbow, you lift it, and the neti pot is going to lift up. And what's going to happen is the water is going to go inside and it is going to come out from the other nostril. It doesn't go into your throat. Okay. So you can do that. You can take this and the water comes out on the other side. Now, why are we doing this? Because it cleanses your nasal cavity, it cleanses all your nostrils. This is all done at a physical level because we have to keep the mind and body healthy so that we can have the spiritual practices like meditation and all. But please buy this next time and we can do this. We can demonstrate that how to do the neti. So you do this from one side, then you do this from the other side. Okay, and this also takes away that latent heat out. The salt water, what it does, as you know in science, it is osmotic. What is osmotic? The salt water is going to grab all the other toxins. Because it is high content of salt in the water, it is going to grab to neutralize that salt. It is going to extract toxins from your nasal cavity and from other parts, and it will cleanse the whole thing. And during the COVID times, I think it becomes even more relevant to basically cleanse your nasal cavity. So that's another thing. Even for the, in the March, April month here in the desert, we get all these allergies. It can be cured by just doing that and don't have to pop a pill. Okay, so that's this one. Now, the last one I'm going to talk about today, before we get into the pranayam, is jaldhauti. Jaldhauti is a very important cleansing technique of your entire tummy and this area and the vital organs. And what you do is you take a cup of water, maybe put aside the same lukewarm water that you did for jalneti. You can use it for jaldhauti as well. It has a pinch of salt in it. Don't make it too salty. You don't need that. Salty water, lukewarm, and you fill it up in this cup and you drink it. You drink 4 to 5 cups of this water, which is amount of maybe 1.5 liters or about half a gallon of water. Initially, it becomes very difficult to drink so much water. But you drink it at a rapid speed so that you start bulging up your tummy. And when do you do this? In the morning. All of this that I'm telling you, you do it in the morning. And you should not have any food or anything inside. So before you have had your coffee or breakfast or anything, you drink this water, and you try to do this on the weekends, basically, not on a weekday, initially. Okay, so when you drink so much water, you are going to fill up almost till here, and you start feeling this idea or nauseating feeling about just throwing up. Okay, some people don't throw up. Some people just keep that water in the body because they don't get that feeling of nauseating. Now, I'm going to tell you something gross here. Is what you do is you put both your hands on your waist. If you're in the bathroom, I would say do it in the shower, don't do it anywhere else, or in your bathtub. And you bend down from the waist so that you form 90 degree with your legs in the samakonasana, with your feet a little bit apart. And once you do that, the water is going to level up, right? It's physics. So water is going to level up, and you will feel the urge to throw out all that water. Throw that water out, because the salt water, again, goes into the tummy. It takes away all the residual acids from your meal last night. It takes away all the toxicity that is built up in the body, because we eat anything we feel like, and the food today is an industry. It is not anymore. It's all the more relevant today to do jaldhauti than any time else. So to take all that toxins out, you take this salt water that is going to pull all the toxins into the water. You leave the water here for about a minute or so. That's out before you throw it out. Okay. And if you cannot throw it out, all you have to do is you take these two fingers, open your mouth and put the two fingers inside, and immediately you will feel everything to be thrown out. And all that water is going to gush out from your system. It sounds very gross, but you're going to feel amazing at the end of it. You're going to feel amazing. So, we all use computers today. We shut down the computers every once in a while. Why do we do that? To cleanse the system, to cleanse all that built up stuff in the computer, in the RAM, or wherever in the memory of the computer. All of that gets flushed out when you restart your computer. That is resetting of the computer, as we call it. This is what we do by jalneti. All of these Shaucha exercises are basically resetting your body, but the most resetting happens when you do jaldhauti. I urge you all to do this. It's fantastic. So when do you do this? How much do you do this now? So initially, to reset your body, and this may sound daunting, to reset the body, you have to do this every day for a month. Okay? Do this every day for a month, and that will completely reset and detox your body completely. And in the first few days, you'll get used to this. Initially you might feel like, oh, I can't throw out everything. Okay, fine. Some of that water is going to stay in your system, but it will go in through your duodenum and it will cleanse your body out from the other side, or you will go to the bathroom and through urination, all that water is going to eventually go out. Okay, fine. Later on, what's going to happen is all that water that you drank is all going to come out. Nothing will stay in your tummy. Okay, it is all going to come out. You do this for a month. By the time end of the month, you're an expert. You think about throwing out and you will throw out. You don't even have to put your fingers in and throw all that out. Okay. So once you do that for a month, after that, you do this for 6 days in a month. When do you do that? 1, 2, and 3, the first 3 days of the month. Then 15, 16, and 17. So every 2 weeks, you kind of repeat it. I remember it like that. 1, 2, 3, 15, 16, 17. 3 days and 3 days. In the middle of the month, end of the month. That's it. That's all you got to do. And when do you do this? Sometimes you can procrastinate. Oh my God, I got to do this now. All right, yes, you got to do this. But it will also, the side benefit of that people don't realize is, here's the one thing that I've learned over the time. As we grow older, you're prone to becoming arthritic. Your joints are going to start paining. To lubricate the joints, jalneti, jaldhauti is one of the most fundamental Shaucha cleansing exercise that will prevent any kind of arthritis in your body. It will also, not only that, it will take out all these toxins, it will reset your body, and you are going to become more flexible. So why is that happening? Because all that residual acid that stays here, if you don't throw it out, it gets... Now, I'm not a doctor, okay? Just so that I'm giving you a disclaimer. This is what my gurus have taught me. This is what the yogic system talks about. All that acid that stays in the body is harmful to you. This acid basically deteriorates your joints, and these cartilages inside, which are actually smooth and lubricated, that acid basically starts eating your cartilages. And when the cartilages are diminishing, they're becoming stiffer and stiffer, it develops arthritis. It's simple. So to do this, this is the biggest motive that you should have, is how to keep your body healthy so that you can practice yoga for a longer time. And some people may tell you, well, you should just meditate and everything will be fine. Try it. I mean, whatever works for you. This has worked for me, and I can only pass down what has worked for me. So these three things we talked about Shaucha, and we move on today to do our pranayam. So it's 7:30 now. Let's practice pranayam for half an hour, then we can go into meditation. All right. So close your eyes, sit comfortably, make sure your spine and neck is erect. And of course, we'll start with the warm-up exercise of Kapalabhati. And we're going to learn a few different techniques today. Again, these are some of those are cleansing techniques as part of the Shaucha. So pranayam begins with Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati is also a cleansing technique. Okay. All right. Close your eyes and exhale fully. Always start pranayam with complete exhalation. When you completely exhale, there is no more air in the lungs. Your diaphragm has pushed all the air out by doing this. And it throws all the air out. Your tummy goes in, your diaphragm moves up, and it pushes all the air out from the lungs. But I'm still talking. That means there is still air gone. That's it. Okay. So you exhale fully until there is no more air in the lungs. Exhale fully one more time. Inhale half the lungs. And then just generally form a practice of sitting in Chin Mudra and start the Kapalabhati. And those who are new, Kapalabhati is nothing but flapping of your tummy. There are several kinds of Kapalabhati that you can learn in the advanced techniques. But as a beginner, we just do the flapping of the tummy. And how do you do that? By pulling the tummy in as though you're blowing your nose. You know, when you blow your nose, what do? You're just sucking in your abdominal muscles and it throws all the air out. Let's start that. And stop. Take a few normal breaths. This is for the beginners who have never done any Kapalabhati. And you can, just with the 10 breaths that we did, you can already start to feel something different. You already will start feeling tingling sensations in your palms, in your fingertips. And those sensibilities will develop over time. If you don't feel anything, don't despair. Okay, let's do a little bit of rapid now. Exhale fully again. And breathe in half the lungs. And begin. And stop. Take a normal breath. We just did 30 strokes. And bring your attention to the subtlest parts of your body. Your eardrums, your eyeballs, your fingertips, and see if you observe. Don't try to hallucinate anything. Just accept the reality here and now. See what physiological changes it brought about. Observe where is your breathing right now. You may feel that the breathing has stopped temporarily, it has been arrested. And as the breathing is arrested, it arrests the thought process as well. There's a direct correlation with the breathing and thoughts. And our ancient sages figured this out by practicing these things. Let's do one more round. Exhale fully. Inhale half the lungs and begin. Exhale fully. And hold the breath out in the Bahya Kumbhak. Bahya Kumbhak is when you hold the breath out. You starve the lungs. Give them a break. Relax your tummy. And take a deep breath. And let it go. Long, prolonged, controlled exhalation through the nose. And leave the breathing alone now. And see what is going on in the body, in the mind. Keep your eyes closed. And bring your complete attention between the eyebrows. Look between your eyebrows. Be absolutely alert from within. Watch the mind like a hawk. Don't even miss one move of the mind or one move of the body. Let's do one more round. Exhale fully. Inhale half the lungs and begin. Exhale fully. Hold the breath out. Release your tummy. And take a deep breath. Don't hold it, let it go. And observe the subtle changes happening at the physical level, subtle changes happening in your Chidakash, the mental space. Bring your attention between your eyebrows, that is called the Shambhavi Mudra. So that you can see what is happening in the Chidakash. And don't get swayed by anything that is happening. If you feel anything pleasant, just observe that. If you feel anything unpleasant, just observe it without passing any judgment whatsoever. Be witness. Just be the witness to anything that is happening at the physical and mental level. Now we're going to do the last time, and then we'll do 3 bandhas with that. It's called Tribandha, it's also called Mahabandha. And those who have been with me for a while, you know what bandhas are. They're the locks. So Mula Bandha, Udhyana Bandha, and Jalandhar Bandha. You may open your eyes and see. If you have never done this, you can see what we're doing and you can practice along with that. So Mula Bandha is you pull your anus up as though you are trying to hold to go to the bathroom. Jalandhar Bandha and Udhyana Bandha is you pull your tummy in as though there is a vacuum inside. You completely suck your tummy in into the cavity here, into your abdominal cavity, and then you suck it upward into your rib cage. This could be a little bit difficult, so try to learn first pulling the tummy in as though it is coming and hitting the spinal column at the back. And then Jalandhar Bandha is you take your chin and press it against the chest. And take your tongue to the roof of your mouth while you're doing that. So these are the 3 locks that you're putting because the energy is then confined between here and here. There are subtle aspects of yoga that talk about the apanavayu, pranavayu, and samanavayu. Okay, so when you lock this energy between the Mula Bandha and the Jalandhar Bandha and the Udyana Bandha, the energy is locked. And what happens is you have to bring your attention to your tummy. Now I'm adding more complexity to these things. Okay, so just pay attention. If you don't understand, you can interrupt me, ask me questions. So when you do that, and you do this tribandha, what happens is the apana vayu starts coming upward to the solar plexus, which is your Manipur chakra, and the prana vayu starts coming downward, and they both meet in the center, which is the samana vayu, and they both meet. And that samana vayu is very, very important to activate your solar plexus. This is where the energy is coming from. This is the powerhouse, the solar plexus, the powerhouse of energy. And that powerhouse of energy is giving the actual energy to your nadis. There are 72,000 nadis. They're all connected. They all come to the solar plexus. They all meet here. And so those are a whole different discussions and whole different subtleties that we can go on. But for now, just imagine in your head that when you do the tribandha, these apanavayu and pranavayu are coming to the samanavayu. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do one more round of Kapalabhati. And this time we're going to do the tri-lock in the end. So when you exhale fully at the end, we're going to do this tri-lock. Okay, tribandha. All right, let's do it. Exhale fully. Inhale half the lungs and begin. Exhale fully. Put a Mula Bandha, pull your anus up. Put your Udyana Bandha, pull your tummy in and up. And then do the Jalandhar Bandha. Release the Jalandhar Bandha, Udyana Bandha. And if you can keep your Mula Bandha, keep it. Realize that the body is not breathing. Pay attention to the subtle changes happening at the physical, mental level. When the breathing stops, it also creates gaps in the thoughts. It arrests the thought process. And when there is no breathing happening, when there is no thought in the mind, no processing going on from the left brain, it opens the possibilities of us going beyond the mind body. It creates a conducive environment for the meditation to happen. Feel that Keval Kumbhak Sthiti. Keval Kumbhak, in the yogic system, we are all earthen pots. They're made out of the 5 elements that are coming from the earth mostly. The earth element being the food that we eat. And these earthen pots have space inside. And there is space outside the pot. And this pot is inside this infinite space. If you take that as a model that describes our own existence, then that space can be replaced with Chaitanya. That can be replaced with, it is analogous to consciousness. There is consciousness inside the pot, there is consciousness outside the pot, and the pot is inside the consciousness. It sounds paradoxical, but it's a fact. If you think that model, the body becomes the wrapper of consciousness in the consciousness. And once we realize this, knowing is a different thing. As knowledge, it's a whole different thing versus actually realizing it. And when that realization happens, the space inside the pot and the space outside the pot, they merge. But they were never separate. They always were merged. It's just the one space. If I move the pot around, the space doesn't move. The pot moves within the space. The pot moves within the space, but the space inside and the outside is same space. Now apply this to consciousness, and that Jivatma becomes the Paramatma. That consciousness in the pot merges with the consciousness outside, and that is just an understanding that develops. That is the realization that develops, that it was always the same consciousness. It was always the same. There was really no difference. But the mind puts the lid on the pot. And what is that lid? That lid is nothing but the conditioning of the mind, the knowledge database that we have collected for thousands of years in the mind, the conditioning of the mind, the thoughts in the mind. All of that becomes the lid on this pot that separates. It kind of breaks that continuum of the inner space to the outer space. And that continuum has always been there. It will always be there. It has never stopped existing this way, but we bring that lid in between. The whole yogic exercise is to make holes in that lid. Slowly, slowly, by these practices, you make holes. And from within, you get glimpses of the outer space. This is why we create these conducive environments by practicing yoga, to create gaps in the thought processes. And those gaps are nothing but these holes in the lid of the pot. And someday, this holes will become bigger and bigger and bigger, and the lid will completely go away. And that's where the conscious and the superconscious minds become one. Subconscious mind, conscious mind, and superconscious mind become one. And these are all just different terminologies. These are just, over the years, man has confused the man so much by creating all these jargons of words. And these jargons are nothing. You just throw them out of the window and just look at this simple model. A pot with a lid, with a space inside and space outside. There is nothing else to be understood. Once we understand and internalize this, that we are that consciousness, and the body is just the pot that allows that pot to exist as an earthen pot, then the body just becomes a upakaran. It just becomes a upakaran. Upakaran means just a cloth that you wear, just an instrument that the Krishna plays with his flute. That flute is nothing, it's an indicative thing that Krishna is blowing through this flute. The music only happens when he blows the air in that flute. These are all mythologic symbols that to be understood. That's all. It just brings about this understanding of this earthen pot metaphor that I'm using here. Analogic. It's just a model to understand. That understanding can become the guide in the life. So simple Kapalabhati can just open up these channels and make holes in this lid. And the entire yogic system is defined or designed for just this one purpose, that the lid goes away. Just one purpose, to eliminate that lid, that is separation. And what is that lid? What is that lid? It's also your mental understanding that we exist. That sense of existence separate from the reality is caused by that lid, and that lid can also be called ego. Ego is nothing but an understanding, however false, but it is real. For all of us, it's real that we exist separate from each other. That understanding is real, that the space inside is separate from the space outside. That understanding only is real until there is that lid on the pot. So the rishis realized that we got to get rid of that lid somehow, one way or the other. So they devised. Gorakhnath was Adinath Gorakhnath in the Natha Sampradaya. Gorakhnath was a sage who devised more than 108 techniques of meditation. And what are those techniques? They are just techniques to get rid of this lid. Okay, so we are going to practice yet another technique called Agnisar. Agnisar will bring you, it will take you to a next realm, a next orbit of that electron. So the way you sit in Agnisara is sit cross-legged. I'm basically sitting in my Vajrasana for my back, but you can sit cross-legged and put your both hands on your knees and lean forward and put your entire weight onto your knees. Grab hold of your knees and put your entire weight, yes, like that. Now you may also want to do is turn your hands inside out. It will make it very easy. So point your fingers towards your navel and put the hands on your knees and lean forward. When you lean forward, there's nothing magic to it. What happens is your tummy then becomes loose. You know, if you let your tummy loose, it will become absolutely loose. When you sit like this, there's tightness to it. So all we're doing is making your tummy loose by putting your hands and by supporting the upper body up like this. And then the tummy becomes loose so that you can then gently flap it. Okay, what is that flapping? Now here's the technique. Now, if you've never done this, you observe me first and then you do it. Okay, so all of you pay attention. Please turn on your camera so I can see what you guys are doing. If you're doing this incorrectly, I can advise you. So don't be afraid. I'm not going to I know this is being recorded, I know, but don't worry about it. It's just a few of us here. Okay, so this is a very important technique in the Hatha Yoga, and it's called Agni Sara. Agni Sara. Why it is called Agni? Because this is the center of fire. This is called the solar plexus. This is the fire. You're breathing, you're eating, all of this energy is coming from this fire. Fire is the energy. It's an analogous word to energy. That's all. It's a primal thing. That energy is all here, and we are going to flap that. We're going to flap it, but we are not going to breathe. Okay, in the Kapalabhati, we were flapping this, but we were breathing in and out, in and out, in and out. Now we're going to exhale fully all the air out from the lungs and hold that air out in the Bahya Kumbhak. And in that Bahya Kumbhak, there is no more air in the lungs. The tummy is completely exhaled out, because when you exhale, there is some residual air or gases in the tummy, they all come out. And now we're going to make this tummy loose. Bring in your anus lock, okay? No Jalandhar Bandha, just anus lock. And then we're going to pull the tummy in. Pull it in like you're doing the Jalandhar Udyana Bandha and release it. Pull it in and release it. Pull it in and release it. Pull it in and release it. But no breathing happens. This is a technique of lighting the fire and activating your Manipur chakra. It's and you bring your complete attention to this area. Okay, so that attention also helps you activate the solar plexus. Okay, so I'm going to show you once, and then you can do it. So I'm going to put my hands on my knee, bend forward, exhale. Exhale fully. I'm going to pull my tummy in. So all I'm doing is I'm just flapping my tummy by pulling it in and releasing it. Pulling it in and releasing it. So try it. Let me see. And you may want to sit on a block or something if you cannot get enough traction there by leaning forward. Elevate your Elevate uh, your pelvis a little bit. That will help you. Okay, so try that. Exhale fully. And just do 10 counts right now. Don't need to go any more than that. Exhale fully, pull your tummy in and let it go. Pull it in and let it go. Pull it in and let it go. Initially, it might feel a little bit difficult for especially those who are new. Okay. All right, stop. Were you all able to do it? Raise your hands. Anusha ji?
I did it, but I don't know whether I did the right way.
It's okay. It's okay. Practice it in your, so you're learning something new, so it will get better and better as you practice. The way I've been taught, you can do up to 40 strokes without breathing. 40 is the maximum you should go. But I would say start with 10 or even 5 initially and build it slowly, slowly, slowly. Don't jump to the 36th chamber of Shaolin right in the beginning. Okay? So start slowly, 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 you build it. So let's do it together with me now. Okay? So lean forward. Everybody exhale. This exhalation should be forceful, as though you're like hell bent upon getting all that air out. Okay? Exhale fully. Lean forward. Pull your tummy in and let it go. Pull in, let it go, pull in, let it go, but don't breathe in and out with it. And relax. Breathe normally. Bring back that model that I built in your head. Think that you made a hole in that lid. And you only bring that hole in the lid only if your thought process was arrested. How many thoughts were there when you're doing this? How many calculus equations did you solve? How many day planners did you bring in? I have this meeting, that meeting. I have to take the kids to this. I have to go to dinner tonight. I have to meet this friend. I have to cook. What am I going to cook? What am I going to eat? None of these thoughts will penetrate. And this is exactly what the yogic system wants you to go through. When there are no thoughts, when there is no breathing happening, and you are fully alive, and you are fully conscious, that is the Kevala Kumbhak Sthiti that Adi Yogi Shankara wants you to experience. And this can be experienced by anybody who practices this thing. There is no prejudice. You don't need any special provisions, special caste system, or any of these prejudices. Anybody, if you're a human being, you're breathing, you have a tummy, you can flap it, you can do this. Simple. This is where the entire humanity becomes one. Okay, let's do it one more time. Exhale fully, lean forward. Take a deep breath and let it go. Be attentive to the aftermath of what happens in the mind. It creates a complete void. It clears up those clouds in the sky so that one can experience that infinity beyond the clouds. Don't open your eyes. Bring your attention to the breathing that is happening on its own accord. After this gap in the breath, in the breathing, your body will automatically, with your autonomous nervous system, it will automatically start breathing on its own when it needs that oxygen. Take note of that first breath, like a child that takes his first breath or her first breath. Each time you create this gap, you are a reborn child. Pay attention to the breathing. Bring your complete attention to the tips of the nostrils. Observe that the body is breathing on its own. There is nothing the mind has to do for the breathing to happen. The primal intelligence of the body itself is so programmed by the nature that it just breathes on its own. Accept that reality as it is, that the body is breathing. This is one opportunity for the mind to drop its all arrogance and doership. All we have to do is observe that the body is breathing. And this, and you trust that system. That if I go to bed tonight, I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Why? Because the system keeps on breathing, the heart keeps on beating, all other parasympathetic nervous system driven processes are happening, the food is being digested, the toxins are being thrown out. You don't have to worry about any of this. So what are we really doing to stay alive? So observe the breath. Breath is going in, it's coming out. Just stay alert. one pointed attention of dharana, just on the breath. Feel that sensations of the air going in, brushing against that subtle skin of your nostrils, the very fine capillaries, nerve endings, all of that are getting stimulated just by breathing. And that fine capillaries are already exchanging the oxygen and carbon dioxide right there. The nerve endings are picking up the sensations. Very subtle sensations are happening there. And all the mind is doing right now is just observing that. And it observes a few breaths going in and out, and it wanders. The mind, when you give a task to the mind to just observe, becomes boring. It doesn't want to stay there at one spot. It wants to go from one branch of the tree to the other branch of the tree like a monkey. And the moment you realize the mind has wandered away, it comes back. And then you observe the few breaths again, and it wanders away in the past. All the memories start flooding in because the mind has to stay busy. Or it will go into the future, but it doesn't want to stay in the present. Observe the breath going in. Just be the doorkeeper there. You know what a doorkeeper does, right? Just sits there on the stool and just observe people going in, out. It doesn't keep track of how many people went in, how many people came out. Just looks at you, lets you go in, that you're not potential danger. That's all it matters to him. Here, nothing matters. You are the most neutral doorkeeper. The most neutral there can be, with passing no judgment whatsoever. If the thoughts are coming in the mind, they come and go. They come and go. You are just the witness to all these thoughts. Just the witness to all that breathing that is happening. Do this meditation in a row, few days, and you will start loving it because there is nothing to be done. It takes away your doership at the first step itself. And the first step then becomes the last step. Buddha called this the Anapana Sati Dhyana. Anapana means breathing in, breathing out. Sati, the truth of breathing in and breathing out. This is the truth right now. This is our reality here and now. That the body is breathing on its own accord, and the breath is going in and coming out, goes in and comes out. This is the Anapanasati dhyaan. The simplest form of meditation ever, and the most powerful one at the same time. After a while, you may realize the body is hardly breathing. And as the breathing becomes subtler and subtler and subtler, the witnessing becomes sharper and sharper and sharper. The sharper it gets, it starts detecting the subtlest sensations. And one starts going beyond the mind and the matter phenomena, slowly, slowly. This is how powerful this meditation is. And you leave that breathing behind, but you trust. You go into this unknown, go into this agaya. That which cannot be known is agaya. Infinity cannot be known. The mind just doesn't have the capacity to know the infinity. Can never wrap itself around the infinity. Because think about this, if you wrap it, that means it's not infinite. The moment you wrap your head around something, it becomes finite. This is why it is beyond the mind. Infinity is beyond the mind. Therefore, one of the names of Ganesha is Ananta. Ananta Samapatibhyam. Surrender to that infinity. Ananta Samapatti. Patanjali said that. And that surrendering is nothing but accepting this reality as it is. Not how one would like it to be, but just as it is. With that, take a deep breath and bring your hands to the heart center. Feel that heart rate. Feel that heart rate at the wrist. it is at its lowest, the entire system calms down, drops all the guards, and this is where the mind gets relaxed. We are in complete inaction. Inaction is a balanced mind. Complete inaction. It has all the potentiality to act, but it is not acting. It's just observing everything that is happening. Take a deep breath. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidikena yopakarotam pravaram munina patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram Shankha Chakra Siddharinam Sahasrar Shirsam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Hari Om. Rub your palms. And bring your attention to the Chidakash, the mental space, and observe any subtle changes in there. Don't try to label anything, just take note. All right, so I hope it was all worthwhile your time today. And we'll see you next time. And I was talking to someone yesterday in the other group. We were talking about ahat and anahat. So if I clap like this, it's a ahat. That means I need two objects to make this sound. Anahat is a sound without two objects striking. That is the Omkar. That is the Omkar supposedly out there in the space. And this is what the rishis, this is why we end everything with the Omkar. We start with the Omkar, because someday this Omkar we can hear without us making that sound of Om. So when I need two objects to make this sound, that means I'm already part of the duality, right? Duality is two. I need two to make anything happen. I need, if you take a point and if you draw X, Y, and Z axis from that point, then the three dimension happens. That becomes the trinity. So for anything to exist, I need these three dimensions. And so the duality is engulfing all the Trinity in there, all that 3 dimensions in there. So we have these objects, we have the 3 dimension, and the speechlessness, as they call it. When does one become speechless? When does go beyond? And this is what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to bring the mind and open that, make these holes in the lid. That is the gap that we're creating in the thought, because thought is nothing but the part of the duality. It's part of a material process. It needs that energy, the Shakti, the Parvati, I lose words. But the nature is all part of that. I need nature to even talk to you, right? So that duality becomes Advaita when you go beyond. And that is exactly what we're trying to do through these meditations and these practices. When we make these holes in that lid, someday we will see that infinite, whatever that might be. Even calling it infinite, I have to use the language of duality. So with that, I think we should end this. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Amitji.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Anybody has anything?
Thank you, Amitji.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Amitji.
Thank you, Amit.
Very much.
Bye-bye.
All good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Amitji.
Yeah.